hovered like a ghost around the rooms. Then, with a thump to her chest, she came back down, stopped abruptly and looked around. Why did this feel so familiar? Because she had already, for many years now, been rehearsing this moment in her mind. Because she had always known that this beautiful child was not hers to keep. It was the very realization that she had known this day would come that terrified her. The knowledge that she could predict the future and that she had known this would happen right from the beginning made her head spin. That's why I'm always so scared, Helga thought. I've been terrified every day for nearly 10 years, and for good reason. Now it's finally happened. My worst nightmare. Huge, black, and tearing my heart to pieces. It was 7:15 p.m. when she forced herself to snap out of her apathy and find the number for Layla's kiosk in the phone book. She tried to keep her voice calm. The telephone rang many times before someone answered. Her phoning, and thus revealing her fear, made her even more convinced that Ida would turn up any minute now. The ultimate proof that she was an overprotective mother. But Ida was nowhere to be seen. And a woman answered. Helga laughed apologetically because she could hear from the other woman's voice that she was mature and might have children of her own. She would understand. My daughter went out on her bicycle to get a copy of Wendy from your shop. I told her she was to come straight back home, and she ought to be here by now, but she isn't. So I'm just calling to check that she did come to your shop and bought what she wanted, said Helga Joner. She looked out of the window as if to shield herself against the reply. No, the voice answered. There was no girl here. Not that I remember. Helga was silent. This was the wrong answer. Ida had to have been there. Why would the woman say no? She demanded another reply. She's short, with dark hair, she went on stubbornly. 9 years old. She's wearing a blue tracksuit and a red helmet. Her bicycle's yellow. The bit about the bicycle was left hanging in the air. After all, Ida would not have taken it with her inside the kiosk. Lola Hagen, the owner of the kiosk, felt anxious and scared of replying. She heard the budding panic in the voice of Ida's mother, and did not want to release it in all its horror. So she went through the last few hours in her mind, but even though she wanted to, she could find no little girl there. Well, so many kids come here, she said, all day long, but at that time it's usually quiet. Most people eat between 5 and 7. Then it gets busy again up until 10. That's when I close. She could think of nothing more to say. Besides, she had 2 burgers under the grill. They were beginning to burn, and a customer was waiting. Helga struggled to find the right words. She could not hang up, did not want to sever the link with Ida that this woman embodied. After all, the kiosk was where Ida had been going. Once more she stared out into the road. The cars were few and far between. The afternoon rush was over. When she turns up, she tried, please tell her I'm waiting. Silence once again. The woman in the kiosk wanted to help, but did not know how to. How awful, she thought, having to say no, when she needed a yes. Helga Joner hung up. A new era had begun. A creeping, unpleasant shift that brought about a change in the light, in the temperature, in the landscape outside. Trees and bushes stood lined up like militant soldiers. Suddenly she noticed how the sky, which had not released rain for weeks, had filled with dark, dense clouds. When had that happened? Her heart was pounding hard, and it hurt. She could hear the clock on the wall ticking mechanically. She had always thought of seconds as tiny metallic dots. Now they turned into heavy black drops, and she felt them fall, one by one. She looked at her hands. They were chapped and wrinkled, no longer the hands of a young woman. She had become a mother late in life and had just turned 49. Suddenly her fear turned into anger, and she reached for the telephone once more. There was so much she could do. Ida had friends and family in the area. Helga had a sister, Ruth, and her sister had a 12-year-old daughter, Marian, and an 18-year-old son, Tumme, Ida's cousins. Ida's father...